Why the hell do I need a fancy dishwasher?
I've had the same style of dishwasher since I can remember, and it blows my mind that people don't rinse their dishes before they put them in a dishwasher.
I have a really old dishwasher at my house that my wife refuses to use because she has PTSD from it when she was a kid. Matt, you need to tell me as much as you can about dishwashers that I don't know so I can convince my wife to buy a new one.
Ben, I hear what you're saying. I know you want to get off the paper plates. Let me blow your mind with the wonderful world of dishwashers.
I've lived in an apartment for 12 years that had no room for one. And when we bought my mother-in-law's house, which has been recently, the first chance I even got to interact with a dishwasher was when I did the YouTube video on recommendations. Um, so that's we don't get a lot of used ones where we're at in the way of the refurbishment process. People are kind of leery on doing the whole refurb thing, so I haven't had, a lot of time to put hands on with them. Obviously, I did the video, so I understand the differences on the pros and cons on everything. So I have all the information memorized from when I did the video that I can regurgitate. But it's like, I don't know. I grew up in a very, very poor household, so a dishwasher was a pipe dream, like a
Yeah, we
massive
didn't have a
pipe dream.
dishwasher growing up either. These were the
Yeah,
dishwashers.
those are the dishwashers.
Interesting.
And
I
even
mean,
then, my wife it refuses to use dishware because of cleaning. Like we still use like tons of paper plates.
I think that's a big problem that like the dishwasher is such a great product to address. But I remember when we were at ASTI sitting in the P&G seminar about dishwashing cleaning products, detergents, rinse aids, and the statistics were pretty crazy that 40% of households are equipped for a dishwasher, but the respondent survey said that I think it's 27% of people refuse to use it entirely. So their home is set up for one, but they just straight up refuse to use it. And then a further chunk of that refused to use it properly. I forget what the exact statistic was, but they asked the question, well, if you do use a dishwasher, are you pre-rinsing your dishes? Are you basically washing them before you wash them? And the chunk of people that actually responded yes to that was like 17 to 18% of people who regularly use a dishwasher. I was blown away by that.
That's what we do. I mean, I was always trained that like if you put dirty dishes into a dishwasher, then they're not going to get that clean. So we always clean them before we stick them in the dishwasher.
I mean, the way a dishwasher worked in like the 80s, that would have been 100% true because dishwashers back then were designed to work well with phosphate based detergents that worked purely on chemical solvation. Dirt gets dissolved in the water and then washed away. So you're not going to remove a lot of soil with that technique. It's not going to degrade the soil enough to actually dissolve it. So yeah, pre-rinsing was a thing back then. Now with enzymatic detergents, if you pre-rinse your dishes, they will actually get less clean. And that's a like mental
Yeah.
issue for a lot of people. But
Yeah,
think
I'm not
about
buying it.
but think about how the detergent works now versus old school detergent. It's an enzyme, right? And we just went over this when we talked exhaustively about laundry. It needs to stick to something to actually break it down. If you have nothing on the plate to stick for the enzyme to stick to, how is it going to break anything down? At that point, it's just splashing and rinsing and splashing and rinsing. And the dishwasher is never going to use enough water to wash that way. Modern
Yeah.
dishwashers at most use 5 gallons to wash your dishes and rinse your dishes.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just the vein of understanding that I get from everything that I do with appliances is that people can't latch onto the concept that how you operate an appliance has changed in the past 10, 20, 30 years with dishwashers probably being the number one appliance among them, and not understanding that using the proper detergent, much like using HE detergent in a washing machine, will handle all the things that you're supposed to have done properly, but we're programmed mentally on how to do the wrong way, or at least the right way on the old stuff, but wrong on the new one. So what I would say to all of that is get me an ASCO dishwasher, and then I'll install it in my house, and then I'll just run it, and I'll make a million ASCO dishwasher videos. So I mean, the way they look and
just floating around in there.
Yeah. Could I convince my wife to switch from paper plates to an ASCO? I think I could.
What kind of dishwasher do you have in there now, or don't you have one in there yet?
It's an estate from
Wow.
Yeah.
It's older.
Oh.
It's almost as old as the three of us. It's got to be mid 90s. When I did the dishwasher video, and I faked that I put a Ross vote for Pro cup in it, because that's roughly the time frame that the dishwasher
nuts.
came from. And like and what's wild is it had been used so infrequently. I pulled out silverware that had been stored in it, and it's like silverware from the 90s. It's like, I don't know what kind of silverware it is.
It's like the
but
little
it's wild.
cup. It's the bowl with the spoon in it, like built into the actual.
Yeah, it's
miss
wild. It's literally like a time machine. They tell you, if you're going to like if you're in a hurricane, that one of the safer places allegedly is your dishwasher, because it's waterproof and it locks. It's like
Getting in there.
it's literal like vault of utensils and dishes.
That's the lore that people have when they live in Ohio, as far away from an ocean as possible. They think everyone in Florida hides inside of their dishwasher when a hurricane comes.
Put your valuables, yeah.
But, I mean, so do you wear earplugs when you use that thing, or do you guys just leave the house?
Honestly haven't touched it enough to really run it. That's why we use the paper plates and stuff. I think she's too afraid of using it.
Why? Like, what's the sticking point there, do you think?
I don't know. I think it's the fact that she grew up in that house. She lived with her parents, and she never used it then. She never used it, so she just doesn't want to deal with it.
Does it have the push buttons that like stay locked in? Because that's how ours was.
Oh yeah, it looks like it like what would look similar to like a Maytag dependable care washing machine. It's just like the physical push buttons you just tap in.
It clicks in and it stays there. It's a nice click. Pushing that button, the click.
I mean, I grew up with a dishwasher, so I had a totally different experience than you guys. And our household philosophy, which has not changed, and my wife is still irritated by this concept, but she no longer can argue with the fact that it does work. Everything goes in completely soiled. Like, we don't rinse anything.
No
we scrape. We do not rinse. I have put cookware full of bacon grease into the dishwasher, and it just doesn't care. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing.
Okay, so that will sell my wife on this. That I will totally be like, hey, why don't we try this dishwasher? If I get that ASCO, I may not bring it in my test. I may do one little test in my studio, and then I'll just take it home and just be like, oh well, I guess this is where we're at now. It's not me trying to sell it, it's me trying to convince my wife that we should upgrade from paper plates. Because I mean, with us, I think for her the big win wouldn't even be doing dishes, it would be doing cookware and casserole dishes, throwing like a crock pot liner in it. If it could do a crock pot liner, yeah, she would have me install it
like a lasagna dish. That's like the big thing to overcome. Baked on lasagna.
So yeah, that would be the test for an ASCO dishwasher. Would be don't bring it in my studio. Let me take it home and just do some really nasty tests on it. All my cookware that she's like used a knife and cut the copper pan up to where there's like pits in it everywhere, and just run. It's kind of like soil tests for washing machines. If you could prove that it can handle like a nasty dish and just run it, and then here's the before, here's the after, screw reliability. If it works and it does that in 5 years, the time savings is going to be more than replacing it. I don't care.
I mean, I guess in my head too, like think about it this way. How much water do you think your wife uses when she's cleaning cookware in the sink?
I mean, it's a fair bit. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think the efficiency argument won't win her over. The time savings will, because we hate dishes. And it's kind of like the mentality probably on dishwashers is, and it's weird because when automatic when automatic washing machines became a thing, everyone wanted to move over to automatic washing machines like immediately. The buy-in rate was insane. But here we are with dishwashers, and you're saying it's like a 40%. It's not even a 40% adoption rate, but if it saves all that time doing that household chore, it must just be a consumer education thing. I bet you the whole issue with adoption is just the concept of pre-rinse. If modern ones really don't need the pre-rinsing like you claim, I'll sell everybody on a freaking dishwasher tomorrow if that's true, because I'll sell my wife on the first one.
In our last house, I had 2 dishwashers. I literally installed 2 because we're 2 people. We make an absurd amount of dishes, an absurd amount of laundry. And we have over-indexed very hard on both sets of cleaning appliances. So in our last house, we had 2 dishwashers that got very regular use because neither one of us has the patience to deal with cleaning basically anything on our own.
I don't know. I kind of like rinsing the dishes, and my wife is gonna clip this and play it over and over again and make me do the dishes forever. But it's kind of like I don't know. Like it's a monotonous task, but it's not the worst thing. It's not the worst chore in the world to rinse your dishes and clean them off before sticking them in there. But we've done that forever. I mean, we've always rinsed our dishes and cleaned them, and then we're looking at the dishwasher kind of like a sanitizing function because we do all the heavy lifting before it goes in.
But it goes back to the way the detergent works. Like dishwashers and detergent go hand in hand. They're designed to work together. And by pre-rinsing, you're defeating the detergent's design. P&G literally has 3 different products in the Cascade lineup. One for people that pre-rinse everything. And they literally told us, hey, this is basically just diluted soap. There's nothing going on here because the dishwasher's not going to do a good job anyway.
Yeah, we
and
just
then
put a pot in there.
There's Platinum Plus, which is designed for customers that actually use the dishwasher the way you're supposed to. And it's packed full of enzymes and rinse aids and bulkers and modifiers to be able to actually dissolve a load of dishes worth of soil without any pre-rinsing. So like there's different schools of thought, but the dishwasher really is designed to work with the dirtiest possible dishes in mind. It's not built for fully pre-rinsed, basically sanitizing rinse loads.
Yeah, awesome. The way that we shop for dishwasher detergent is we just walk down the aisle and we find the cheapest one for how many ounces you get, and we buy that one, and we don't even know what it says on there. It's in the dishwasher area.
Okay,
we pick that.
So here's what we can do then. Oh man. So like the guy I kind of hate because he keeps stealing my ideas for this is Project Farm. It would be great to do a rinse aid test and try to soil dishes the exact same way, and then do a really good comparison on all of them to kind of determine which company has the best stain removal quality. And do like with my shirt, with a 10-panel soil test, do the same thing with a casserole dish. 10 stains, and then just start running like 20 or 30 different rinse aids through them on an ASCO. Gosh, I'll make so much money off that, and I'll sell so much detergent. When can you get me that ASCO now? Can you get me two? Get me 2. I want one for my store, and then I want one for my house.
Hey, I want to show you. We just got our. Let me show you this. Hold on. This is an early release. No one has seen these yet, but this is our stain test T-shirt.
Oh my!
So we'll be able to fill up each one of those squares with what they're supposed to say on there.
Sweet.
And then we can test them.
I'm pretty excited about it. We're gonna have to do the same thing with like a ceramic dish, and I don't know how we're gonna pull that off. We're gonna have to find a ceramicist to make them.
Jenny loves making lasagnas. So if we do a warehouse,
we will have no
lasagna
shortage.
day, yeah.
We will have no shortage of mess.
Well, so on the dishwasher topic, so originally we had a 2-rack dishwasher, and we would put all the big stuff down at the bottom. We didn't have a top level sprayer, and we got really good at figuring out how the water gets through that bottom rack to make it to the top. So the next time that we shop for a dishwasher, we wanted a top level sprayer. And then just recently we got a 3rd rack dishwasher, and now that pretty much just turns into where the spatulas go. It's a spatula rack is what they should call that. We don't use it for anything else. What could possibly be different about dishwashers? Like, there's, besides those things I just mentioned, those are life experiences. What else exists in the dishwasher world?
So,
And why do we care?
turbidity sensing has come a long way in dishwashers. The dishwasher's ability to modify its program based on soil level really is what powers the thing we just had a 10-minute discussion about. You know, you wouldn't be able to reliably clean a load of dishes that's fully soiled if the dishwasher didn't have the ability to adjust what it's doing based on how soiled the load of dishes actually is. It's the same thing we talked about with laundry. The machine is capable of figuring out how dirty the dishes are and is capable of changing its cycle program based on that. It's one of the least understood things. You know, everybody just thinks normal and start. But the auto cycle is ideal for most loads of dishes.
With food for us, like, those are dishes that we got to eat off of. So it's like, it's different than like me, like, you know, washing clothes or doing something like that. I don't have to eat off that. So whenever we choose a cycle on a dishwasher, like, I'm choosing the most heavy duty, longest cycle that's on that thing every single time. Doesn't even matter how dirty the dishes are, at least whenever I poke the button.
So here's why that may be good and may not be good. So you're a pre-rinser, right? So as a
Tried and
pre-rinser,
true.
that heavy cycle is doing absolutely zero for you. The Sani rinse is what's achieving the objective you want. But by
have that
choosing the
cycle.
heavy cycle as a pre-rinser, all you've done is increase the time it takes for the dishwasher to complete the cycle and waste about 3 to 4 more gallons of water than you otherwise would have needed to.
It's, I don't know. That's not that much water. I mean, honestly, like 3 or 4 gallons.
Yeah,
to
but okay.
clean your dishes way longer and way more rinsing and way more sanitizing. In my mind,
But the way dishwasher programs are designed, even when you enable the sanitize function, the only part of the cycle where the dishwasher is actually hot enough to kill germs is the final rinse. Everything else the dishwasher is doing is at a relatively moderate temperature that's not NSF certified to sanitize. Only that final rinse is the sanitizing piece of running the dishwasher with the intention of killing germs.
I just don't know a scenario where I would click normal cycle. Like, I don't
What
know
about
what that
auto?
dish looks like.
Why
Like,
not
maybe
auto?
maybe I put a piece of bread on that dish. Like, that could go through normal, but not a lasagna pan. There's no way.
No, absolutely not. Normal is the most ambiguous term in what we do with appliances because you see it on washing machines, you see it on dishwashers, you see it on dryers. But does anyone actually know what normal is? Ben, do you know? What is normal?
Well, according, and I should touch base with my Samsung engineer friend that seems to be keen on explaining things to me. But I think what happens is normal is the benchmark mode that everyone programs for to meet whatever the regulation or requirement is for that device. You find that that is the mode on washing machines and dryers that is what they calibrate for with whatever the standard operation is. And it doesn't really mean much. Even on refrigerators, they have a standard normal mode that will say disable the ice maker so it meets the Department of Energy or EPA guidelines, so it's a good operating refrigerator to get either Energy Star or whatever energy efficiency compliancy there is. While on the other side, it's just kind of like an automatic mode to meet those standards rather than it being an actual operational mode that you should choose. That's what I've seen on so many different appliances that have any sort of regulatory atmosphere around them, which obviously dishwashers are a party to. Vacuum cleaners in Europe are notorious for it. You have a vacuum cleaner, you turn it on, it's by default on normal mode, which uses a lower amount of energy, and then you have a turbo mode, which actually cleans your floors. And I would imagine with dishwashers, it's the same thing. Remove X amount of particulate within Y amount of water and Z amount of electricity, but it may not actually get things done the proper way, which is why it's ambiguous. It's defined by the standard of operation set forth for it to meet the market, not that it's actually going to work.
I don't know how
in your
many
house.
people like actually use normal as a normal cycle. Like normal's not normal for me. Like heavy duty or something like that. That would be my normal. I wonder how many people are like that.
Actually, from some statistics that I've read in the past, normal is a pretty default operating state for a lot of customers. And I know from my retail experience having to shake people out of that mentality of using normal. Because if you use normal for everything, you are going to get suboptimal results on what you're doing at some
Okay,
point, whether it's washing or dishwashing.
okay. Let me ask you this question then, because I'm going to do a live poll on my channel. What modes do you, what appliance are we talking? Are we talking specifically about dishwashers? Okay, so let's
Put some
define
money
this
on
then.
this.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Ooh, it
You
got
should put an
spicy.
I will see
dishwasher on it.
I will see if we can get results at the end of our discussion of this podcast.
Yeah.
What are the 4 modes you want me to poll people on with dishwashers and see what mode they use the most wins? Will you want normal?
Yeah, normal, obviously. Heavy duty, because every dishwasher I've ever had has had a button that says that.
Okay.
Auto.
Sandy rinse, we only have on the dishwasher that we have right now. It's a KitchenAid, like the lowest KitchenAid. But I don't think we've ever. Do they use those words on everything else, like on other?
No, a lot of dishwasher manufacturers will call it sanitize. Sandy-rinse is very specific to Whirlpool.
So yeah, sanitize / sandy rinse.
That's fine. I can include both. So we got normal, we got heavy duty, we got auto, and then we got Sandy-rinse or sanitize. Are those the 4 biggest ones?
But I think the real pull here is you do the same thing for washing machines. And I think you'll see that people will be selecting normal more for washing machines than something they eat off of.
Yes. And I think based on what we just talked about, like Ben said, like the normal cycle is to meet DOE standards. It's not to be a good performing
It's
product.
to check a box.
Yep. And I think a lot of people may be dissatisfied with their dishwashers exclusively because of that reason.
Well, we've talked a lot about like ASCO. So like, what are ASCO's cycles called? Is it the same thing?
There, depending on the model, it's anywhere from 8 to 12 different cycle options. So the thing with
Too
European,
You need one
You-
button.
you say that, and there is one button. There's a one button option for you, Scott. The thing about European appliances, so ASCO, Miele, Bosch, especially the Bosch benchmark products, less so the regular Bosch that you see more widely distributed in the US. European appliances are designed with a lot more optionality. So like ASCO's washing machine has
What are
up
the
to 20
words?
cycle options.
What are the words that they use?
Quick intense wash is a really big one.
Quick,
So
intense.
yes, it is an hour-long cycle. The difference, though, between the
probably
1
took
hour
that.
wash on your KitchenAid and the 1 hour wash on an ASCO is the ASCO's pump is about 3 times the size of your KitchenAid's pump.
Really?
So it
Like,
can force
By
water.
horsepower or capacity
Yes.
or what?
Horsepower. It can move water at higher pressures through the spray arms
All
by
right,
a
we don't
pretty.
want to turn this into an ASCO commercial, but all right, what are the options? Should we include something that they say word wise
I
into
mean,
Ben's poll? He may have
I
already
think.
clicked submit, so it doesn't matter.
I think the word that jumps to mind really is the China cycle. It's really unique to their products. Um, European dishwashers do a much better job taking care of fine dishware than anything Whirlpool, GE, Maytag, Samsung, or LG make.
We poke the same button. We don't have any China, but if we did, we'd poke the same button.
Right. We're 1 minute. We're 1 minute into the poll, and I already got four votes.
What they say?
Who's up so far?
Is normal winning on dishwashers? On dishwashers? No way.
I told you.
They got
I
some
told
dirty
you.
dishes, dude. You guys are
So-
eating off some dirty plates.
You asked about what else is an innovation or like what makes all these other brands funky. So the DBI 776 and the DBI 786 from ASCO have a UV sanitization module. So if
That
you're
would be wonderful.
worried about germs, it literally sanitizes the rinse water that is 190 degrees with UV light as it passes through and sprays onto your dishes.
It actually works.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds kind of gimmicky.
it does, but the manufacturer published real microbiological tests that show that it does actually work and it is actually effective at sanitizing the rinse water as it's running through the dishwasher and as it's operating. So instead of blasting your dishes with UV light, which could potentially damage them, especially plastics, it blasts the rinse water with UV light so that as bacteria are falling off into the rinse water, they're killed before they're sprayed back onto the dishes and redeposited.
How do we test that? How
Well,
does
I'm
Ben
glad
test
you
that?
asked.
Let's reword that.
Well, I think it really comes down to getting a casserole dish, having my wife cook something in it, or doing like a stain panel, and then just run every single mode through one dishwasher. It may not be the perfect dishwasher, but at least we can say, mode X works, whatever on these different modes, and then nail it at the end with a spectrometer and see what your scores are. Because every mode's going to handle the stains in the pan differently, assuming it's like a washing machine. But you could at least
Spaghetti
say
in a
what your averages
Tupperware.
are. Well,
That's-
really, that's a question of what's good at removing lycopene. That's more of a detergent thing.
Cascade Platinum Plus. I actually had that exact issue. So I've been eating chili for the last couple days because we made a huge batch of chili for lunch.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, huh?
Pretty much. When my
We do the
wife
same
makes
thing.
anything, it's in absurd proportions. Like we have chili for an entire week. It is what it is.
Chili on the eggs for breakfast.
And that's
Yup.
my wife's the same way.
So I've been bringing home Tupperware containers that I have microwave chili in, which is like the worst thing you can do with Tupperware because the microwaving process actually embeds the lycopene deeper into the plastic and makes it harder to remove. Our Bosch actually does a really good job at getting it out, but that's because we use Cascade Platinum Plus, which is specifically designed to control those soils better than other detergents.
What Bosch do you have?
I have a benchmark.
I'm going to take a screenshot of these numbers soon and share it with us because these numbers are wild.
That's so crazy.
There's
It
no
is.
way that normal on a dishwasher wins. That's all I have to say. And if it does, your audience needs to rethink what they're doing.
But that's probably why people aren't enjoying the use of dishwashers. If you use a front load washing machine wrong every single time, like most people did when they started coming mass market in the US, you're going to end up hating them forever. And I think that dishwashers are probably the same way because, just Matt saying, oh, you can throw dirty, greasy, bacon encrusted pans in a dishwasher and get it removed if you use the right mode and the right rinse. I mean, I didn't know that, and I do this professionally. And I imagine if I don't know that, then any possible other buyers of dishwashers aren't, they would probably love to have that information.
I will literally video us loading our dishwasher at home, and the amount of just filth that goes in will shock you. And the level of cleanliness when it
It's all
comes out will
clogged
also
up.
shock you.
You're just clogging
Nope.
up your dishwasher and it's all nasty in there.
So that's the other thing. Why do people hate their dishwashers? A big reason is because they don't clean the filter. Modern dishwashers, for the vast majority of units, are equipped with a microfine filter that allows soils that rinse off the dishes to break down over time and eventually be pumped away as a lovely goo. The downside with that is if you're not scraping any solid waste that doesn't break down, like say a kernel of rice
You're just
or a poppy
recirculating
seed,
that all over your dishes again.
you are not recirculating it because it will get caught in the microfine filter. But at the same time, if you don't periodically remove and rinse that, you are eventually going to accumulate waste that plugs up the dishwasher's ability to recirculate water and burn out the pump. It will also reduce the water pressure that's hitting your dishes, so you'll get inferior cleaning performance over time.
Yeah, and the other side to that is some of them are equipped with choppers to be able to rip out some of that to reduce the maintenance. And a lot of it comes down to the price of the dishwasher is almost linearly mapped with the user satisfaction of every dishwasher on the market, to where the more features you get on a dishwasher, the more satisfaction you get on it. It's literally, I did a survey of every single dishwasher on the market, and it's a linear scale on price versus user satisfaction on every single brand. You can even have a brand that's somewhat notorious for their dishwashers being poorly reviewed by customers, but if you go from the $500 model up to the $800 or $1,000 model, across brand, they end up having vastly higher scores, and it's entirely based on what kind of filtration system they use, the tub material quality, the motor decibel rating, depending on what kind of motor it has in it, and all the other issues that Matt mentioned. To where if you invest your time and money into it, the satisfaction rating of every brand dishwashers through the roof. And almost, dare I say, the difference in consumer perception on dishwasher brands is almost entirely relative to the price point that manufacturer makes dishwashers at. Bosch and KitchenAid make dishwashers at a much higher average price than other manufacturers, and that's why consumer perception on those brands tends to be much higher, is they don't have a base model that people hate like GE or Frigidaire do, or even Whirlpool has that same delineation. The average review score for Whirlpool is much lower than KitchenAid, even though we know it's the same brand, but it's because Whirlpool's selling middle, low, and middle upper grade units, whereas KitchenAid's only at that top portion. Maytag's the same way. They only sell the mid to high grade units, and therefore their user ratings are much higher than Whirlpool's even.
I mean, the other reason that we bought the Bosch was because it has a water softener built in. In the house we're in, we can't install a water softener. And so having that integrated softener means that we don't have to contend with water spots. We don't have to contend with hard water damage to the dishes. And also, we get tremendously improved cleaning performance in hard water. And I think that's a feature that a lot of salespeople don't explore enough with customers, especially in heavy hard water markets like where we're at in Texas. Our water is basically chunky. It's spoonable. We're at
Those are
37
vitamins.
grain. Yeah. Except it's vitamins that destroy the ability of the dishwasher to do its job effectively. The issue with where we're at is we're 37 grains per gallon of hardness on average, or I'm sorry, degrees E of hardness on average. And so because of that, the issue is detergents are only designed to cope with up to 26 degrees of hardness. So pretty much every detergent isn't even remotely as effective as it could be when you have that to contend with.
Just saying.
What is going on with your
Dude, oh my
God.
God.
That
What?
67% of people are using normal.
Oh, sad. Big sad.
Heavy duty
But-
all day. All day.
But this explains
Auto.
why the consumer perceptions are not very positive on dishwashers. It's entirely user error.
Like, who wants just a normal amount of washing on something that you put in your mouth? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Consumer education.
What's the wash machine one, though? That's the most...
I haven't posted the washing machine one yet. I will do that one now as well.
The comparison between the two, that's the real thing.
Okay, so we want normal mode on that. Heavy duty.
So what happens if your channel ends up going heavy duty on clothes but normal on the dishwasher? What does that say?
It says we really need to do more dishwasher content.
Yeah.
Because,
okay.
I mean, Ben occupies a unique position as a consumer educator. And, like, this is just exposing this huge gap in consumers' education on the products they're buying. And salespeople obviously aren't filling the gap.
Okay, so for a washing machine, we got normal. Obviously, normal and heavy duty are your two major ones. What are we putting in the place of auto and sani rinse? I assume quick wash.
I was going to say quick wash. I feel like there's going to be a giant chunk of people who want to use quick wash all the time, even though it's not meant for more than 5 things.
That's more of a convenience thing, though. Like, you're doing that on the fly. I don't think that really has a place in this.
That's not true. I will promise you that's not true.
Okay,
using quick wash like
bulky
normal,
bedding
like,
for the fourth
there's
one,
customers that have done that I've had to educate them on why their washer sucks.
I still feel like the bulky in the bedding and quick wash, like these are load size type filters versus
you would think they're load size
filters.
You would think they're load size based, but I promise you they're not.
For the fourth mode on the washing machine, should I do like bulky and bedding, or do mention like a deep fill / deep?
I was gonna say deep fill. You read my mind.
Yep. Deep fill's a good one. But
because
that's
I mean, I watched your
weird,
WT.
If you're doing a GE, it's a cycle option, or it's a modifier that you can add to a cycle. Now you're getting tricky.
Is, yeah, and
now
that's how I would have mentally thought.
And
of
some machines have deep water wash as an option, as literally a cycle.
That's a tough one.
Well, it's out in the wild. We'll see.
I mean, I watched your WT8405 video this morning, Ben, and I just find it so hilarious how bad it did with deep fill.
Oh, it was wildly bad. But I mean, in bringing it back, it makes sense to me that it did so bad because you need the it really comes down in my mind to the design theory of the WT8405. You have a large area that allows agitation centered on the pull agitator in the middle, and then that basically it's an impeller at the bottom. So in my mind, I'm thinking the areas that it's going to work the best is in the middle and the bottom. So when you have a deep fill, deep wash modifier in it, you're suspending all the clothes in the water, so they're not actually going to rub together and agitate. Now, and mind you, I used a 12-pound load of clothes for that mode. I would contend it would have acted differently if I had used a larger amount of clothes in it, like a 20-pound load. Inversely, I wonder when I used heavy, and I have 2 shirts left, and I think 2 stain strips to revisit. And I'm very tempted Monday morning to just throw them in the wash to try one final mode on it. But what I'm interested in testing is on heavy duty, I threw 20 pounds of clothes in it to test 20 pounds heavy duty, no real modifiers on it. I'm thinking about dropping it from 20 pounds to 12 pounds in the heavy duty mode and see if that changes the wash strip score and then the soil removal score, and then to see if it changes how long it actually washes. Because my contention in my mind is, really it's just less, almost with that machine, less is more, because you only want the water level to barely cover the clothes, so you get the largest amount of mixing action between the agitator and plate.
I think that's a great idea, and just looping it back to dishwashers, it's actually the same concept. More is better. Dishwashers work with more dishes, not less dishes. Dishwashers work better with dirtier dishes, not cleaner dishes. Like, a dishwasher, especially a European dishwasher, works best when you have it loaded so full you can't fit anything else into it, possibly. You don't want to underload your dishwasher because dishwashers today are different than dishwashers 30 years ago. You know, an old school dishwasher had an exposed heating element at the bottom that just baked your dishes dry, right?
Oh, and it used to catch the plastic wear all the time and melt it. I remember that.
Exactly. Well, the federal government solved it for you. They basically made it impossible to put an element with that kind of wattage in any modern dishwasher. And so modern dishwashers that have exposed heating elements actually do a really poor job drying your dishes. And that's why Rinse Aid is so important that a lot of customers just refuse to use. But Rinse Aid is critical because if you don't have the sheeting action to allow the water to run off rather than form puddles, you're not going to get good drying performance with one of those low wattage elements. And even more so, the European dishwashers rely on condensation drying. So their whole strategy is to put as much heat as possible into the dishes during the final rinse so that the dishes themselves act like heating elements, so that the stainless walls cool off faster than the dishes, and you get a nice evaporation and condensation cycle going inside the dishwasher. But the less dishes you put in, whether you're using traditional heated dry or a European style condensation dry, the worse your overall drying performance is going to be. And a lot of people are nervous about overloading their dishwasher. It's not like a washing machine. You can't
I'm just
overload
thinking
it.
about water flow. Like, can the water get through that dish and hit the other dish above it?
Well, it doesn't have to, as long as you're shopping for a dishwasher that actually has a 3-level wash strategy where you
But
have.
is the top level sprayer still as powerful as the one on the bottom? Because I always picture the bottom sprayers like the Mac Daddy of all the sprayers.
It really depends on the dishwasher you're buying. So,
Asco.
yes, if you're looking at an Asco, absolutely, because
It is?
the dishwasher has a pump that's 3 times more powerful than the pump in your KitchenAid at home right now. It can force water through all 3 spray arms inside the dishwasher at much higher pressures.
Now, is it just going to throw the silverware everywhere and all the dishes? Because that happens all the time too, especially on my old school dishwasher that we grew up with. It would blast all the dishes, the silverware, whatever, plasticware out of there, and then it get melted down at the bottom with that heating element.
That
Is
hasn't
that
been
a
a
bad
thing in a
thing?
long time because dishwashers are built a little differently. I'm assuming the dishwasher you had as a kid had that center pole that once it spun up,
Yeah, it would
it
stick
actually
up.
went up.
Ben would
Yes.
disagree with you. Ben would say that is a current event right now.
I mean, yes, because Ben is living in 1980. That's a
I would
different
normally be
discussion.
right there with you, Ben.
Yeah.
But dishwashers, I do not have a say in. Not
No,
in my
So
household.
it's not even about pressure, though. That's the thing. It's about how is the spray arm designed to effectively clean the dishes without what you're talking about, blowing them all over the place. So, like the spray arm in the dishwasher that we were just talking about with the center push up sprayer, that was
Thing
designed
was a
with
beast.
I think it had 6 ports on the bottom spray arm, and that was it.
Yeah, you just
I'm
had
pretty
to
sure
keep
it was
your dishes out of the way because it would just impale whatever would you'd
right.
stick above it.
If you go pull one of the Ascos that we have out there now and look at the spray arm, you're going to see a whole lot more jets. So yes, the water hitting the spray arm is at a much higher pressure, but it's spraying in more directions, creating more overall turbulent flow to get better coverage of the inside of the dishwasher without needing to blast your dishes with extremely high pressures to do it.
And that's what I've seen when I've had to diagnose and test and fix dishwashers. I've probably fixed more than I've used. And that's always the thing that I noticed is it's not so much the pressure that you want, it's the angles of the jets to be able to have a much more wholly filling action on all of your dishes. And on top of that, when I've looked at like a meta-analysis of top rated dishwashers by consumers, having the additional spray arms or jets is, again, it's almost like a linear relationship between satisfaction and the inclusion of that, a third spray arm, or however the jets are configured to where there's more than other brands. It's like it's a numbers game.
And even within that, there's a further stratification because a lot of dishwashers in that like $500 to $800 price range don't even have a true upper spray arm. They have a soaker.
Yes. Yes.
Frigidaire's got a wacky one. It's got like a big blue circle that like spins around all radically.
Orbit Clean.
Oh, is that it? Yeah.
That is what it's called. Yes.
It looks kind of cool because it's adding randomized like locations of the sprayer. What other type of spray arms are there besides?
A lot of manufacturers are doing that.
Samsung water wall.
Oh, linear wash. It's called linear wash. We're going to get away from the first generation water walls, okay? We don't want to talk about those.
Everyone, that's the thing on my channel is everyone wants to talk about the first gens. Those are so bad.
They were horrible. The second generation one actually has proven to be pretty decent. The way it works is there's a wash arm, if you will, a straight bar that moves back and forth on a linear motor, and there are jets that spray directly at it, and on that arm are diverters that divert the water flow up and fan it out. So you literally have like a car wash effect on the bottom of your dishwasher.
That
Sounds
breaks
awesome,
down,
actually.
that stops working, that everyone complains about. Because
Or
of
it gets
other
clogged, or it comes off the track,
No,
or
it's
yada
just
yada.
because people like Matt aren't cleaning their dishes before they put it in there, so the rails are probably all gummed up with chili.
Oh, my Bosch Benchmark actually has one of those funky spray arms. So on one side, it's a normal horizontal spray arm. On the other side, it's a spinning wheel of aggressive jets. It's got like 16 jets in it with 3 legs to the triangle. And it is really aggressive at cleaning.
I'm just picturing your dishwasher with like a chili splatter on the back wall.
Hey, it's crystal clear when it's done.
All right, so is there any other types of spray arms? Like, what else is there? The Orbit Clean, you got the wash wall. Has anyone else done anything crazy?
That's a good question. So you have Samsung Storm Wash, which is a fixed disc in the back of the dishwasher. So the idea is, in addition to the rotating spray arm, you have this special area where periodically throughout the cycle, all the water pressure that the pump makes gets diverted through it, and it spins and forces water up into like a big pot, like a stock pot, and scrubs the inside of it very aggressively. Who else has something?
You know what ours does? So our KitchenAid dishwasher has bottle jets because we use this for everything. Like I literally don't go anywhere without my Nalgene. Like I won't go places unless I have this. And when I lose it, it is catastrophic. And I blame everyone around me. But to clean it is kind of a nightmare. So we always, we do what we can on the inside, but even the threads in here, so we put it into the dishwasher almost like a pre-cleaning, and it would crank the temperature up, or heavy duty on everything. But we stick it on this bottle jet, and it sits down like the jet goes inside of the cup, and then you poke it as an option, and it sprays inside. It does a pretty good job of like pre-washing it so we can post-wash it in the sink.
So one of the other things, like Asco has the SCS, so they have multiple of those similar kind of jets, but they're on the bottom rack for different purposes, and they have different settings. So like they have one for bottles, just like your Nalgene. They have one for vases. They have one for pots and pans, and they're repositionable. So unlike the Samsung,
have a button for vases. Let's back that up. They have a button. How many people are cleaning vases where that's a button to poke?
I mean, I do it every 2 weeks. What? My wife likes fresh flowers. What do you want me to do?
So, that is a very specific
My wife
button.
does too, but she doesn't have to have a vase option on the sink.
Maybe that appeals to a very specific demographic of people. I don't know.
Okay, but if you have a repositionable sprayer that's specifically designed to clean intensely up into large things, maybe it's not useful for you for a vase, but maybe for a stock pot, maybe for a pot or pan that's particularly soiled, you have options, and that's kind of the unique thing about the SCS is that it's movable throughout the cavity of the dishwasher.
Customize where it's spraying.
Yep.
So it's just like a big like slinky kind of like a
No, it's
crazy
actually
straw?
a stainless steel tube on a rotating pivot.
Oh. Huh.
And then it has a dial to select the type of wash that you're doing. So like it'll have a wide fan for a pot, or it'll have a straight up full pressure for a stock pot. There's options.
I feel like a customizable spray arm would make a lot of sense where you can, just put it somewhere to clean out a oddball.
Base.
Yes.
The other thing that's kind of cool is racking, right? So like we're all used to a bottom rack, a middle rack, and a top rack at this point. What about a fourth rack?
There's no room. You can't stack 4 high worth of stuff in a dishwasher.
If you have the industry's largest tub, you can. The DBI 786 from ASCO actually is the only 4-rack dishwasher on the market. So you have a lower rack, you have a rack in the middle that's removable if you need the height, but if you don't, you have extra loading room. And it's deep enough where you can fit small bowls, small cups, or it has a knife rack specifically for like large knives, like a chef's knife. Then you have the upper rack on top that would be for silverware and oddball things like spatulas and spoons. And then you have your normal, quote unquote, middle rack.
But aren't countertops all the same height, right?
Yes.
They're all the same width. So like how can you be larger when those two things are fixed? Like what? Like
if you completely
a nickel of an
reimagine,
inch?
no, you can actually buy yourself several inches. So a lot of dishwasher brands are the size that they are because the pump, the sump assembly, all the guts, if you will, of the dishwasher that makes it go occupy a ton of space at the bottom. If you can miniaturize and make those compact components more compact, you can draw the tub down and still accomplish everything you need to accomplish. And that's one of the biggest reasons you buy a premium dishwasher. It's because you can do so much more with it. It may not be apparent from the outside, and the price tag may give you some sticker shock, but if you really look at them side by side, like the difference in what you can fit and do in one shot is pretty dramatic.
I'll give you a maybe on that one. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it could be that like it would be interesting to see what you actually can put in a dishwasher like that. Like how many pots and pans, plates, cups, whatever. Because that sounds very pitchy to me. Because I know like you have a countertop and you have the width of it is fixed. Even if you make the pump and stuff just a little bit, but you're adding another shelf in there, and that takes space. Like it'd be interesting to see how much stuff actually fits.
Yeah, but it's not a continuous shelf. So one side can pop up and stack on the other. So you can create a space where that rack is out of the way, so you have height. And then on the other side, you have 2 double stacked, maybe knife carriers in that case. And you've got extra room that you didn't have.
Everything that you just described is just more things to break. I mean,
More
seriously.
moving parts, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they durable? Like,
I mean, they're all made out of stainless steel. It's got more stainless steel in it than anybody else's dishwasher. And that's coming from me, and I have a Bosch benchmark. And I would have, if I had the option at the time to have chosen an ASCO instead, I definitely would have. I mean, I spent $1,800 on this thing, and it is phenomenal. But would I have liked better construction for my $1,800? Abso-freaking-lutely.
you're probably that guy that brings the dishwasher with you whenever you move houses.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I have the landlord's piece of garbage sitting in the garage waiting to go back in the day our lease is up.
All right. What else is there in the dishwasher world? How's our poll going, actually?
Let me refresh it real quick to see. We got 52 votes on the washing machine poll and 94 on the dishwashing machine.
Dang, dishwashers are active.
Well, I posted it first, so I don't know how YouTube kind of biases this in terms of distribution, if the same people are getting hit with the poll or not. But if you give me about 10 seconds, I'll have it up on the shared screen.
Awesome.
If people are choosing heavier duty cycles for their washing machines than their dishwasher, I'm going to jump
Oh,
somewhere.
oh, buddy.
Now there is one caveat.
7%.
There's one caveat to this you can see that there's comments on this. One of the comments said that for them it depended on the washing machine. They said on their front loaders they voted normal mode, but if they were using their top load it would be heavy duty or deep fill deep wash. So that may be a situation where they're, depending if it's a front load or a top load, they may have had a different preference that could skew those results maybe a little bit.
I think Sandy Rinse and Sanitize, I think those are basically heavy duty. I think that's messing with the data here.
I mean, even if you add those together, it still pales in comparison to normal.
Yeah, it's normal versus everything else. And that's the whole problem is, like we've talked about on the dishwashers, normal is the worst mode that you could use, yet for the dishwashers, it's very, very frequently used. On a washing machine, I would contend that normal can be okay on certain machines, but not very many of them. So yet again, it's the perception that people, I don't know, I need to make a video on, what these modes do.
What is normal?
Yeah.
Maybe
have a video that's like, never use this mode on your washing machine. And then I'll just, take the question mark off of the dial and say normal. Don't use that one almost ever.
I never would have guessed in a million years that those polls would look like that. That's wild.
I'm going to leave them up for the next week. By the time everything's said and done, I should get about 1,500 results for each of those polls. The last poll I did was what refrigerator brand should I review next, and I have 1,500 plus votes on that one.
All right, so tests. So we talked about what can we do to a dishwasher? What can we do to it to prove that it works better or worse? It's a weird thing to test. We talked about dishwasher pan or casserole pans with lasagna in it.
I like the good old traditional frying pan full of bacon grease. I have seen lesser dishwashers fail miserably at that.
I mean, if they have reasonable capacity, like bottom rack, top rack, you could put one or two very questionable dishes on the top rack and the same number on the bottom. So maybe you do 3 or 4 different dishes with the same identical stains on them. Do one that is like your chili bowl, do one that is your casserole, do one that's your bacon, and then maybe some sort of other really easy one. I know on shirts and stuff, it's Hershey syrup and barbecue sauce. Those, a good unit will remove the stain 100% of the time. But, some sort of other thing that's a little bit more basic.
Definitely something proteinaceous like egg yolk.
All right. I think you should do it pre-washed and just, I don't know how you would compare that, though. I don't know how you would compare most of these things. It's just a visual element.
It really is visual, and it's sensory. You can smell the clean if the dishwasher did what it was supposed to. You can see the clean. It's very hard to analyze any other way. I mean, we could use the spectrophotometer to get a sense of color, residual color, but I think that would probably only be useful on the Tupperware with chili example.
Still, it's at least a test where you could use a spectrometer. That and maybe some sort of distance measurement, some sort of area, it removed 90% of the matter versus 95% versus 99%.
What about the sheet cake test you were talking about, Matt?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I told you about this, Ben. So one of the manufacturers, who shall remain nameless, showed us an internal testing video that they did with their dishwasher compared to a competitor dishwasher, where they took an entire half sheet cake and just plopped it right on the bottom rack of the dishwasher and started it.
That's how Matt cleans his dishes, by the way. It's a perfect
it basically
example
is.
for him. Throw the whole pot of chili in there.
It's fine. It can handle it.
So,
But
so
the
how did
sheet
they
cake,
do?
well, the manufacturer who created the test, their
Okay.
dishwasher actually performed quite well. There was some slight residue inside the tub. 99.9999% of that cake was just gone. I think the only thing left was maybe a little residual icing on the rack. The competitor plastic tub dishwasher did miserable. The
Just
entire
cake
inside was
everywhere.
coated in just soggy cake goo. So it was pretty impressive to see what the end result actually was if you put that much solid waste into a dishwasher, especially one without a hard food disposer, and how well it
Both
can
of them
handle
didn't.
it.
Both of
Uh,
them didn't have it.
Actually, this is the really trippy part.
Oh yeah,
The
they
plastic tub
biased it.
competitor did have a hard food disposer and still couldn't remove it. The stainless tub had a
Oh really?
microfine filter.
Oh, it was the other way. I would expect it to be the other way around. Huh.
Nope. The hard food disposer model actually did worse.
Interesting. Down to make some sheet cakes.
Should be entertaining. We'll get them nice and iced with our little New Labs logo.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to do that one. What other ways could we test the dishwasher? Is there anything else?
I mean,
Cost
I
per
feel like,
cycle.
yeah.
What is it? What
I
was
mean,
it?
cost per cycle. I would want to know. Let's say I'm going to use this dishwasher for 5 years. It's going to save me a lot of time. It's going to save me a lot of headache of having to clean dishes or have my wife clean the dishes. But I would be very interested in knowing what kind of costs I would be looking at using if we're like the 90 or the 70% of people that use normal mode. Is that really like going to save money? Is that going to cost more money? Or is there a trade-off between using a ton of resources, like people that just throw deep wash on top load washing machines because it cleans better? Is there anything that's optimum? I mean, obviously, there's going to be efficiency tests out there from like Consumer Reports is going to have on all of these, but I would just be interested in some of the nuances on the modes if that was
I mean, I
easily
can give you some
analyzed.
data from mine because the Home Connect app will tell me how much water I used and how much energy I used when I was running the dishwasher. And it's actually kind of mind blowing. The auto cycle uses the most water out of any of the cycle options consistently.
I just don't picture a dishwasher as being a huge cost sink. Like compared to like a dryer, a washer, or a refrigerator. Like I don't
But
picture a
think
dishwasher.
about what you're comparing it to. Filling the sink with hot water straight from the water heater. You're doing your dishes, you're rinsing your dishes, you're wasting 80 gallons possibly, depending on how much dishes you have to work through.
I have no clue. Yeah, I don't know.
Like think about it conceptually. Like if you've got a full sink
80
of
seems
dishes,
high.
it's a
80
lot.
seems really high.
Okay, are you running the water while you're rinsing? Or are you filling a sink with water and then
Slowly.
plugging it?
Young Scott, that thing's on full blast. It's just while I'm
So
rinsing my
yeah,
dishes.
if you look at it online, a dishwasher will use between 3 and 5 gallons of water per wash cycle. Hand washing will run at about 30 gallons if you have the water running consistently for 5 minutes. Which, knowing my wife, that's probably low.
I mean, in
We're
Texas,
off and on now.
we're on low water fixtures, but that's still a 2 gallon per minute kitchen faucet.
Yeah. And the kid needs something, so you walk away from the sink with it running because you weren't, you know,
Hmm.
you don't pay you're not the one in the house that pays the water bill. She's never going to watch this video, but she's not the one that pays the water bill. And if it's hot water, like the hot water at our sink is very, very warm, so I can't imagine how much energy would be getting, not only cold like water, but I mean you're usually using hot or warm water to wash your dishes, so then you have to factor in your hot water tank, how much you're using in electricity there as well. So it's the same idea when we talk about hot water on washing machines, using it from a hot water tank versus using the heating element on some of the European washing machines, how much more efficient it is. So there's a lot of factors in here that could be had. I mean, if you're using, if it's, we're talking about maybe a 90% reduction in water usage while not having to work at all. that's a freaking miracle. And I'll pay whatever the detergent costs to save it, because if you're saving even 20 gallons of water, which, even if it's 10 gallons of water, you're saving 15 cents per time you wash the dishes. And I know we wash way more dishes than we run our washing machine. So
Our dishwasher gets used twice a day, every day, without fail.
Yeah, we
sounds
cook.
like what we would.
We haven't eaten out in months. Everything is cooked from home. Interesting. All right. Well, so we got some tests here. We got a sheet cake test, which in my mind is going to ruin a lot of dishwashers. We've got a total cost, basically, energy, water usage. We've got some lasagna pans that we got to do. What was that other one you were saying? There was a protein one.
Yeah, egg yolk. Egg
yolk.
yolk's
Egg
a
yolk.
big one. Tomato sauce residue is a
Spaghetti.
big one.
Spaghetti.
Yeah,
But
spaghetti.
these are all
Spaghetti.
visual tests.
Yes,
that go
you're
into
using
it.
brightly colored things that don't come
Yeah.
away easily from dishes.
Okay.
Burnt on cheese is another really good one. That's very
Alright.
difficult. We'll get that in the lasagna test a little bit.
Yep. And then we have how many dishes actually fit into a dishwasher, because I don't know, the tallest tub of a fixed height and width doesn't really, I don't believe that.
So yeah, that would be the test, would be to go to a yard sale, get a lot of utensils and dishes, and then put one of your stained dishes in like a really weird area, or one that's not going, you're not packing it improperly, but you're making it not easy for the system to be able to clean, and then just running the load and then seeing if that one specific
Yeah.
dish or pan is getting taken care of in the midst of dozens of other dishes. It's like the max pack tests I do with my washing machines, where the TC5 failed absolutely miserably, but the WT8405 actually did stellar. If Matt is correct in saying, oh, you can load it full, and if you use the right setting and the right stuff, it gets everything cleaned, cool. But is that going to be the case on every single design? Or if you throw that in the lowest grade $300 Frigidaire versus, a Bosch 800 series, what's the difference there?
Yep. Love it. The whole time we were talking, I was thinking a pot with mac and cheese baked in is probably.
There you go.
That's my arch nemesis on the hand wash side.
Yeah, my
Doing that.
kids will love to contribute to that stain test.
Cool. Well, we have our tests. We know what we're going to do. This is actually pretty interesting. This is kind of exciting.
I just need a ASCO dishwasher to try this.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to have to procure a DBI 786 IXXL SOF, because
No
the
clue.
model number is not just way too long.
Yeah, no clue. The stainless one. Cool. All right, fellas. Well, this has been very interesting. Any closing statements? Anything else we want to throw out there besides that Ben's channel is washing their dishwasher cycles, or the incorrect cycle?
Yeah, the polls have moved slightly against normal on washing machines. It went from like 69% down to 61%. More people are choosing heavy duty and deep wash, but the dishwashers are pretty much set at 63% for normal. Yeah, it's and
Absolutely.
I think
madness.
really what it comes down to with appliances is no one knows how to. When we were at ASTI, the thing I heard from Samsung and Speed Queen was no one reads the manuals, and that's the problem. And if you can get Tim from Speed Queen to agree with Mike from Samsung that the customers are ruining their products, even if you have the 20-year machine, guess what? That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, manuals, I haven't read a manual in a very, very long time.
But you know what's ironic is when I gave my mom the first time I was able to give my mom an appliance for my business that was brand new, the first thing she said was, "Where's the manual? I want to read the manual. Print the manual off for me if you don't have it with the brand new machine." And I'm thinking, I've been doing this for 6 years, and you're like the third person
To
You're the
ever
third
ask for a
person
manual?
to ask for yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. When we sell scratch and dent stuff, the manual is, sometimes they're there, but most of the time they're not. It's interesting.
I don't think since we moved to this building, I've had a
I
single
mean-
person ask for a manual.
So I'll defend the customer a little bit on that. A lot of manuals are horribly written. They're meant to cover multiple models to save cost, and so they reference things that don't apply to the model you have, or they don't completely explain certain features because then it would be too specific to any one model, and it's
There's no
very
pictures.
confusing as a consumer. Yeah, that's a good
There's no
point too.
pictures. There's no diagrams. There's no visuals of anything. I have to
Yeah.
read all the stuff. I mean, if I wanted a book, I'd go to a library.
Yeah, and oftentimes what I've seen with the manuals or the use and care guides, you can clearly tell that they've built them for an extensive range of products, and half of the features don't. It's always like, do this, this, and this, but then you realize my model doesn't have half those features. I ran into that with LGs a lot recently.
How crazy is it that we're living in 2025 where video is king and not a single manufacturer has put their, that I know of, maybe there is, but not a single manufacturer of appliances is putting their manuals in a video. That's crazy.
It is pretty nuts.
Is there one out there that you can think of? Pitch up there?
Only
They have
Only thing I can think of is in the LG ThinQ app and in the Samsung SmartThings app, there are video resources, but they are buried in the app.
Is that what you're going to say, Ben?
I have a manufacturer that DM'd me on TikTok. An actual manufacturer from their brand account DM'd me and is asking me to do a use and care guide for one of their products.
That makes perfect sense.
I'm waiting for them to come back from KBIS to do it.
Yeah, because everyone complains about it. No one reads my blah, blah, blah. Do something about it. Like,
It's a
go make a video.
It's a manufacturer that is having a notorious problem with one of their appliances that I've reviewed, and I called it out in the video. And I did a video on maintaining that product where I thought there's going to be a problem, and by God, it's been a problem, and they want me to do something with it, and I'm trying to figure out how to make them pay for it, I guess.
Radical. All right, fellas, this has been awesome. We know what we're going to do. We have some testing to do. We are going to put some head-to-head battles together and get some sheet cakes and blow some dishwashers up, honestly. So,
Cookie sheets. Cookie sheets, do a dozen baked cookies, just scoop them off, leave all the residues, and see what happens. That's the test my kids would love.
yep. Chili bowls, too. All right, cool. Well, this has been another episode of Appliances Unboxed, and we will see you on the next one.